Hi, my name's Derek. I'm the host of Talking to People. When being better doesn't matter. I just saw a video, a recommended video for a C.S. Joseph video, live streamed 6 hours ago or something. Has 5,000 views already. Of course, he doesn't have anything of value to say. He's not worth watching for 5 seconds, let alone watching any longer than that. He doesn't deserve to have anybody watch him because he's just spewing garbage from his mouth. But obviously, in this instance, being better doesn't matter at all. Am I more right than he is? Yeah. Am I more insightful than he is? Yeah. Do I say much more interesting things? Yeah. Am I worth listening to and he's not worth listening to? Correct, on both accounts. But it doesn't really matter because everybody consumes media for their own reasons, and obviously fewer people choose to consume my media. And C.S. Joseph makes me really quite upset, quite angry, because he knows he's lying to everybody and it doesn't matter to him. That's annoying. Like, at this point, he's got to know he's not an ENGP. And he continues to position himself as one. It's just one of those nights where I'm up all night, I think. I'm working on this new song that's coming out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. But I got tired of working on it. And I'm feeling this great meow of my low ceiling at the moment. For briefly, I was up to 5.99K subscribers, but back down to 5.98K subscribers. I've been right there for a full year, at least. I haven't really moved at all I haven't hit 6,000 yet. The thing is, if I could be certain that it was a merit-based failure, I'd be more comfortable with it. But I'm not sure that YouTube is treating me the same as other people, because I have a warning. That probably has something to do with it. Almost certainly for a stretch of time it did. I also acknowledge, though, that it may be that the approach I'm taking now, where I'm making a bunch of live streams and not very many uploaded videos talking about a variety of subjects, that's just not conducive to growing the channel. And that's certainly plausible and makes some sense, and might in fact be the best interpretation of things. But I'm going to smoke this bowl, and then I'm going to try to play this new song I wrote on the guitar. I generally like my written songs better, a lot better than my tracks, as a general rule. This one feels like a good one to me. 30,000 days, too many expectations, most of them not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights to sleep off intoxication, otherwise you can't escape the plan. They wasted half of my days I trusted their stupid ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I'm tired of doing it wrong. I want direction, and I have all along. Wait until I know, or is that hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show is it so below my station. I'm tired of doing it wrong. They wasted half of my days. I trusted their stupid ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I think I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, I think I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, I think I'm doing it wrong. Pretty good. Pretty clean. Not perfect, but pretty clean. And I'm tired of doing it wrong. Direction and I have all along. I'm gonna play it again. I'm getting used to it still. 30,000 days. Too many expectations. Most of them not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights. Sleep off intoxication. Otherwise, you can't escape the plan. They wasted half of my days. I trusted their stupid ways. Who can tell me their priorities? Is there anybody has the key? 'Cause I'm tired of doing it wrong. I want direction and I have all along. Wait until I know, or is that hesitation? Clarity is no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show is it so below my station. I'm tired of doing it wrong. They wasted half of my days. I trusted their stupid ways. Who can tell me their priorities? Is there anybody has the key? 'Cause I think I'm doing it wrong. 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 I think it's a good song. I like it. That's what I think. Thanks, Winston's mom. 30,000 days. Harry Chapin, 30,000 pounds of bananas, 1981. I'll have to check that out. Well, it's like when Rachel heard that song, she asked me if she were part of that sentiment, and I said, "Oh no, this is a very specific, localized sense in which I'm saying I'm doing it wrong, which is, um, I continue to struggle with prioritizing things, like what ought I prioritize, and I seek clarity, I guess you could say, regarding a course of action, but I can't even seem to attain clarity regarding like the course of action, let alone how to implement it. I guess that's the thing. I need clarity about which courses of action to prioritize over the long haul, and that's a tricky one. Sometimes I need clarity about how to pursue a course of action. That's where I feel right now in terms of my political ambitions. I feel like I'm lacking any clarity about how to go about pursuing it because I guess because my original plan was pre-COVID, and I'm not sure how important. I mean, I'm sure how determinate the post-COVID changes are going to be. Life's a funny thing. It's like you're feeling rudderless, directionless to a certain extent. It can make it hard to do anything. Hard to then actually follow through and complete something. Because the extent to which one devotes a lot of attentional fortitude to a given project, trying to get it as proper as possible, then one doesn't. One generally is following a wave of enthusiasm of some sort. Samuel Varghese says, "Bro, you're just lazy, my guy." Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, it's one way of putting it. How's my dad doing? He's fine. He went to the doctor today, and he's got another doctor's appointment. They said if he feels this thing again, that he should take a baby aspirin, just one. And basically, I'm pretty sure it's not really anything. I mean, there's two conflicting NI things here. One is my dad has a long history of struggling with making meaning from data, being an NI polar person. And often the main meanings he makes from data are wildly inappropriate to the data. So, that's, if you don't tell what does something actually mean, what's the single most determinate meaning of something, that's an NI question. And NI polar has trouble with it. So whatever, his interpretation of what's going on with his body is no different. It's like, is that a heart attack? Well, almost certainly no. And you have to be kind of actively consciously aware of the fact that there's a tendency towards hysteria, to confirming your own belief about the way you feel if psychologically, there's reason to think that there might be a problem. Hi, Fawan. So my dad's doing well. I didn't really see him a whole lot today. We chatted briefly, but I chat with him less today than I usually do. I want to make an effort to spend more time with him. I've been doing better. I've been making sure we eat with him every night and listen to his stories and stuff, which are typically all very interesting. Tells me a lot of history stuff, Well, it's interesting. Back in 1972, when blah, blah, blah. He does a lot of that stuff, and almost always it's very interesting. Like the story he told the other night about the mustard gas that killed a fair number of people in World War II. Because if you ask anybody, they'll say, no, nobody used any mustard gas in World War II. Well, that's true. Nobody purposefully used mustard gas in World War II. But the U.S. actually had a stockpile of it in the ship that was docked in a Italian port, and it got hit by the Luftwaffe, and the mustard gas got all out and killed all the people on the boat and some people in the town and stuff. And when the doctors saw the field casualties from this attack, naturally, they were mostly just normal casualties because there were planes coming along and shooting up the town and blowing up the ships and stuff in the harbor and so forth. Naturally, there's going to be a lot of normal wounded, but then the doctor was like, what's this? When they had some people come in with symptomatic of stuff that is not linked to it was not linked to normal explosives and stuff, but rather to gas attack, respiratory problems, and skin problems and stuff. So for the skin problems, the doctors just put down dermatitis. And for the breathing problems, they put down some vague ass thing because, of course, they couldn't acknowledge that it was a stockpile of U.S. mustard gas, which was banned by treaty. And so, interesting story he shared with us the other night. Sort of thing that it's like a nice little historical tidbit that you wouldn't know if somebody like my dad didn't tell you, I guess. So am I lazy? This is an interesting thing. I am definitely I would say I'm spoiled but not lazy in general. So I'm spoiled in the sense that I expect the work that I do to be the work that I want to do. But I'm not lazy in the sense that I don't just want to consume stuff all the time. That's lazy. It's not the case that laziness is just lying on the couch and napping all the time. That's like sleepy or something. That's different. Lazy means that when you're engaging with the world, you always want to be consuming and never producing. And that's the INTP way. The INTP INFP way. With the internet, they can consume endlessly, broadly, and deeply as they see fit, and it's hard to pull an INTP out of internet wanderings to get them to transition to something more practical. Difficult for them. Yeah, I think my dad's being a little hypochondriacal. Of course, part of the reason is, a day or two before he informed me that he had a scare with his chest, feeling like maybe there was something wrong with him. Just a couple of days before that, he had talked to me about his friend Richard being maybe not having a whole lot of time left because he's back in the hospital again and so forth. My dad's friend Richard is somebody that he visits frequently, and he said to me, that when Richard goes, that he'll probably go and stay with Alan for quite some time up there. Alan is Richard's wife, and I think the idea is that a couple of generation mates taking care of each other at the end, My dad has a fair amount of living friends that he communicates with, mostly not local. In fact, he's entirely not local. I don't think he really has any friends locally. He's got neighbors that he chats with and he runs into in the street or something. But as far as friends go, they all live someplace else, which is fine for him. He likes to travel and he communicates by email and stuff. But you've got to think about it. Put yourself in your own shoes when you're in your 80s. Think about what that means, Hi, Movie Man 175. My dad, he doesn't exactly have the narratives to talk about his own death, which, as far as I'm concerned, is not looming anytime immediately soon. He's a pretty healthy guy for an 80-something person. But I can see him getting, more frail. He still lifts weights in the garage, little barbells he's got, takes walks, goes to the gym, stuff like that. He's got himself on a diet right now. He said he needed to lose 10 pounds. My dad's been doing that his whole life, Oh, I need to lose 10 pounds and go on a diet for a month or two. So I don't have any reason to think that my dad is going to go anytime soon at all. But I'm sorry to hear that, Movie Man. It must have been rough. 58's young. I'm 49. I'm operating under the assumption that I'm going to live until my 80s or 90s. That's less terrifying a notion. I got, say, 40 years left. It is a much less terrifying notion than I've got 10 years left. Well, my dad doesn't have 40 years left. That's for sure. My mom doesn't have 40 years left. I mean, I'm just yeah. I'm assuming that what I'm doing is adequately useful when I'm doing what I think I should be doing. Like, I did put in work today and yesterday on that song that I wrote, and that's good. and I'm going to record it. I started working on the recording of it, but the problem with it was that I started going through. I laid down what will eventually be the bass part once I pitch shifted and stuff. But I need to go through and edit each of the bass notes. I got through about the first 45 seconds of what's about a 2.5 minute song or something. I just got tired of the laboriousness of it. It's a little bit laborious, and I can't really fool myself as much as I used to be able to fool myself about the scope of the work I was undertaking. So whether or not I feel like pushing through and doing all that work right now is dependent on my mood and such. I can't fool myself like I used to be able to that, it'll just take a minute. Sort of my default thing. Just take a minute, but then it actually takes like 4 hours. I'm not able to fool myself like that anymore. Samuel Varghese says, bruh, I've spent thousands of hours trying to stay motivated and get shit done, but ultimately it all comes down to habits and distractions. I mean, I agree it comes down to habits, sure, but it also comes down to the authenticity of your enthusiasm for whatever it is you're trying to get done. I'm usually pretty authentically enthusiastic about the things I'm working on, and that's why I get frustrated myself for not having a little bit more self-discipline, I guess, and that I'm not trying to get myself to do things that I dislike a lot. It's pretty comfortable work, pretty happy work. I need to establish a lower threshold of enthusiasm for me to be able to pound it out, I have a relatively young soul. I've never identified with that descriptor, old soul. It doesn't seem like me at all. I would say that probably correlates with NI more than anything else, because NI is universal knowledge function, and NI types are more likely to be referred to that. INFJ is probably most likely to be referred to as that. But yeah, I am the man child. I will always be the man child. One part man, one part child. I'm the man child woman girl. And the reason is for a lot of reasons, I suppose. One, I have a basic kind of positive enthusiasm that people associate with childlike or childlike-ishness or something like that. I don't feel actually childlike in the sense that I don't feel vulnerable and I don't feel uncertain in the way I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, a lot of things made me feel either vulnerable or uncertain. Like I remember I hated it when I had to go interact with adults I didn't know and convey some sort of information to them, and then they may or may not engage with me as anticipated, and then I'd have to interface with them, which I didn't want to do because mostly because I was afraid of making FE mistakes, It wasn't like I was afraid they were going to do something to me or anything. I didn't like the complicated FE of the thing. How do I act when I'm depressed? I mean, I would say I'm kind of depressed right now. Kind of like this. Not exactly depressed, but like big side troubled face or something. I'm feeling generally kind of big side troubled face. Troubled by myself, like I'm on my own shit list right now a little bit. I agree with that. Um, well, I would say I would better put that as environment is the single most important factor in shaping how who you are manifests. Because I disagree with that notion. If you include cognitive functions, they are at least as significant a factor. But if we understand that as sort of fundamentally part of who somebody is that's permanent, then we can easily enough say, and I'd agree with it, that hi Lawnmower, that environment is the single most important factor in how your basic cognitive function stack plays out. Bad, mean spirited. Yeah, I try not to be mean spirited. I believe in kindness. I don't always exemplify it, but I certainly oppose cruelty. And I don't like to see things get too rough and tumble or nasty or whatever. But sometimes I'm more policing of that than others. But thank you, Winston's mom. I appreciate your positive regard. So I think I guess what I feel right now, to the extent that I feel depressed or something like that, it stems from I feel like I'm waiting. I'm waiting for some sort of storm to break, and I've been waiting now for quite some time for a storm to break because it's like since COVID started or whatever. I'm waiting for something to change and to kick into gear and mark the next chapter. I feel like I'm kind of lost track of where I was going here with this. Oh, I mean, look, what I'm saying, Samuel, is I think you're maybe misinterpreting what I'm saying a little bit because what I'm trying to get at is that I like directionality. I like to know where I'm going, how I'm going to get there, and what am I improving at and getting better at and working towards in some vague sense without any particular plan, I guess. But working towards increasing aesthetic success has long been a primary goal of mine, wanting to make better media, make better art. And I really feel as though I reached a point now where it's like, okay, you have indulged your urge to just sort of randomly ideate now more than anybody could possibly demand, So I would like to direct my attention to some project that extends across multiple, for a long stretch of time. Like a project is going to take me a long time to finish, and I have to keep going back to it day after day after day, at least a little bit day after day after day, which would be like a book, or a cognitive function book I'm writing or something. That's probably what I should prioritize as a work project. Instead, what I prioritize as a work project tends to be, well, it's like I don't regret working on this song because it's at least a written song. I'm not trying to freestyle it or make it out of tracking. I'm actually writing. I actually composed the song. So that's an example of me doing something that should give me some satisfaction. But I guess it does. But I still am in the frame of reference that I'm not. I'm being too self-indulgent, is what it boils down to, about what I work on, what I do, and stuff. I've got important projects, and I've got fun ideas, and okay. So let's say I want to work on a fun idea for a second or two, like Mindy's Club episode or whatever. Great, do that. But here's the thing, lawnmower. Can't you do both? Yeah, I can do both a book and songs. It's a matter of how seriously I want to do something. Like, so, okay, I've written the song, composed the song. I haven't seen your comment, Joshua Gabrikidian, on the Eckert and Russell video. I'm wondering what your opinion is on Daniel M. Ingram and what his MBTI type is. I don't know who Daniel M. Ingram is. You are ready for the next step up in your hierarchy. You need safety, survival, love, belonging, seek self-actualization, and the need to pass along your wisdom creatively. I just, thanks, Joshua. I like it when people appreciate the theme song there. I just, Eric, so you want to go all in full gear into one thing and get something out of that experience. I guess I want to go. I guess I want to make some. I've argued enough about cognitive functions that trying to ask me generally what I want is very difficult for me to answer. Although I sort of described that thing you just said there as what I'm trying to accomplish here. But instead, what I'm trying to accomplish is effort along a channel intended to produce specific impacts, not just sort of stumble into it. Thanks, Midnight Blue. I feel like I want to have more of a willfully chosen course to any given day or month or stretch of weeks or whatever. I'd like to be able to decide to devote the next 2 months to finishing that book and then do it. I can't even decide to do it because I'm hesitant to say, yes, this is my decision, because then I'm stuck with it for months. If I'm going to, then it's a test of self. I'm either going to follow through it or I'm going to fail. And when I fail at something like that, then I put a lot of time into something that doesn't get done, Liberalism has undermined collective identity. Basically, there's a lot of lonely people who are searching for something to fill the void left by religion. I wouldn't call that liberalism. I'd call that secularism. But I mean, I don't think that it's metaphysical stuff that cause people to lose their sense of community and collective identity. I think it's basically luxury. Back in the day, everybody had to work very hard all the time to just make sure they had enough to eat, warmth in the wintertime, were prepared for the upcoming storm. It's like in the olden days, let's say you got your cabin someplace in a not particularly densely populated area, and there's a storm coming, you've got to prepare for the blizzard and make sure you got enough firewood and blah, 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 blah. We have had so many of the basic self-maintenance tasks removed from us in the modern era that we have a lot more leisure time. And as a consequence, a lot more decision-making abilities, a lot more choices to choose from. It makes life more difficult. If I was born into a certain track, like let's say I was a serf born in the Middle Ages, and I have two basic paths in my life that it could play out as. Either one, I'm trying in some fashion to be the best serf I can be, the best version of me as a serf that I can be, or I'm trying my best to invalidate that place in life and say, no, I'm no serf. Inside my heart, I'm really a lord. One of those two things. They're either going to try to manifest the best self they can without challenging the basic frame, or they're going to manifest the best self they can by challenging the basic frame. One of those two things. So, back if we were all asked to do as much physical stuff as was required in the olden days before there were cars, people walked a lot more. They had to carry things from distances. They had to carry water into the house. They had to carry firewood. It's like keeping human beings comfortable as they'd like to be in a world that doesn't exist within those ranges of comfort very often can be a challenge. Like, it's hot here in Los Angeles. It was today anyway. But I didn't feel hot for most of my time here because I was sitting inside with the air conditioning on, or at least the fan on. What does the title mean? I forget what the title is. Well, I mean, I think in every meaningful way, in every way that matters, I am a better. Well, sure it does, Raphael. Oh, that was the title. Okay, right, yeah, you're right. When being better doesn't matter, right? Sometimes being better doesn't matter, and it could be a variety of reasons for that. I don't know exactly what they are. In this case, I'm talking about C.S. Joseph. Right before I started this, I saw in the recommended videos a C.S. Joseph video, and it already had 4.6 thousand views in like 6 hours or something, or 12 hours. I don't know. I was like, C.S. Joseph livestream has that many viewers, and what's he doing? He's typing celebrities. But I mean, is that why he's so much more popular? Maybe that's better because it's what people want to see more. But I mean, I'm definitely better than him because not only is he like terrible, like not enjoyable to watch at all, but he's also wrong about everything. So it's like, even if you did enjoy his media and his presentational stuff and whatnot, then you'd still be like, yeah, but he's wrong about everything. Haul it back, Alan. Haul it back. Obviously, I'm preaching to the choir here. I'm not. Obviously, for everybody who's here, is somebody I've talked to plenty of times before. And you obviously prefer an environment where you can actively engage with me about ideas in a meaningful way. Over, I don't know, maybe if he were on, you'd rather watch him. But if if you're here a lot, then you get something from this experience. Now, consistency in presentation, I'm pretty consistent, actually. That's the weird thing, is I do a lot of live streams that all basically follow the same format, which is I'm talking about what people bring up in the chat mostly. So it is pretty consistent, but whether or not that's popular or whether or not that is a different question. Okay, well, lawnmower, I don't find that very consoling, actually, but thank you for letting me know. You got to consider the people in that audience are even people you want to engage with. I'm not saying I want to engage with his audience in particular. I'm wondering if, I've been wondering for a while if YouTube was kind of shadow suppressing me ever since I got a warning for, of all things, bullying C.S. Joseph. But, or if it's just straight up the actual market response to me live streaming all the time. Is it possible the actual market response is that they just don't like my live streams? Well, sure. Or that it's not really worth participating in? Sure. I definitely believe that there's good reason to think that people don't watch my live streams after I'm live because they're boring in that context. I get that. Some of them are more interesting than others. I can watch some of my old live streams, depending. If I think I had a really good live stream and was like on the whole time and saying continually to moving the topic a lot and making good points and moving along and so forth, then I can watch them. But like, I can't watch 5 minutes of C.S. Joseph. 5 minutes of it. It's torture. Why? Well, because he's trying to get by on smoke and mirrors, just like trying to play knowledge theater. He knows how to sort of position, I guess, what's the word? He knows how to craft his affect to display the affect of somebody who's knowledgeable and expert or competent or something. But if you look past that for a second, then you realize this guy, he's saying nothing based on anything. He's got no good justifications for anything. He always justifies stuff with, you read the book, or I learned it from my mentor, or other correcting mechanism killing warrants that make it such that there's no possible way now he's ever going to be correct if he takes those approaches, because those are ways that you keep being wrong without getting caught. So, anywho, I don't feel like jealous or anything. I guess I feel a little demoralized as I see just about everybody in the typology community passing me by. I saw Lijo had a video the other day that was fairly new that had 20 or 30,000 views on it or something. Why would who do that? Why would he do what? Why would he do what? Oh, because he's a TE user. He doesn't have TE. He didn't have TI justifications, so he positions himself with the affect of one who knows things because he doesn't actually know anything. Yeah, seriously, type it in one message. Yeah, he definitely affects the perceptual display of competency dominance, so to say, perceptual dominance, as it's called. But that's not a good reason to believe in his knowledge. Just because he affects the general bearing of somebody who's an expert doesn't make him an expert. You haven't got the YouTube game yet? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of them, though, right? When I started, Frank James was about the same size as me. Like, I think he started after me. And, Love Blue or Love Who, Nathan's thing, Lijo, C.S. Joseph was already there and probably a little bit bigger than me, I guess. There's somebody else who I saw was quite successful who had started out. Eric Thor started after me. Lots. It happens over and over again. But it's an odd position to be in, right? Because any typologist who's got a channel and does their typology channel well is probably going to be bigger than me quick enough. But the weird thing is they probably would acknowledge that they'd either acknowledge that I'm the one who really understands it, or they'd probably be wrong, Sure, you ready to ask him? I'm ready to answer him. Go for it. Raphael, I would hardly call this crying. I'm just talking out my feelings and stuff. Oh, yeah, that's true. I've done that plenty of times. And Samuel, I've done that so many times. So many, many, many times. I have many edited videos. I have many scripted videos. The problem with me is not a failure to do meow. It's a failure to do only meow. Whatever you name that people can think of that suggests that I should do to make the channel work successful, I've done it. I've done it dozens of times probably. I don't know how many videos I have now, but it's well over 5,000. So, yeah, I've done that. And it's true. In general, those videos, the scripted ones where I'm reading something I wrote, about a given topic. If it's short enough, it usually does well. If it's 2TI, like if it's an extensive document, 2TI, then curation is a real thing. Sure. That's a problem of mine. That's a problem of mine. The thing is, I guess to some extent, Raphael's right. I'm just sort of complaining here. I don't mean to be, I don't mean to complain pointlessly, but that's what I'm doing. I'm not looking for a solution. I'm not even looking for commiseration. I'm just sort of complaining pointlessly, I guess. And of course, in some instances, it's really a matter of dumb luck. Like, why did Jordan Peterson become so famous? Well, he had this sensible position on some bullshit issue and ended up being in some videos where he explained to some people why they were wrong, and those videos became quite popular. And when they threatened to fire him, or did fire him, or I don't remember exactly what happened, then shit got real, as they say. You know, here he was, a symbol for the authoritarianism of certain populations regarding certain language, you know. Considering the possible general conception of extroversion versus introversion, in contrast to slot function workability for external and internal, does your concern for number of people viewing channels on YouTube resemble an extroverted concern of one of your slots that might be an introverted concern of somebody else's? First, let me just say I like the term concern, an extroverted or introverted concern. I like that. That's a good term to use. No, it's not actually Effie. It's not. So your thoughts that might be introverted concern of somebody else. If it were an introverted concern of somebody else's, then it would definitely be an extroverted concern of mine. I actually think this is an introverted concern of mine. I think it's an FINI thing, and it's why it's taking me such a long time to process it. I agree with your critiques. I don't have a decent background. I disagree with the wearing something that looks professional. I would say that I speak both too slow and too fast, depending on the context. In general, probably Samuel Varghese, if you're an NTP, which you might be, or potentially even an NFJ, you're going to think I speak too slow. Well, especially if you're an NTP. If you're an NTP, you're going to think I speak too slowly, even if I'm speaking too fastly for most people, too quickly for most people. People are irrational. They need these dumb things to trust you, keep their attention on you. Basic dominance hierarchy principle. I agree with you that I need to deal with the background stuff. The problem is not my ability to periodically fix the background, make it look nicer and stuff. It's my ability or willingness to do it consistently. I'm so frequently engaged in streaming or videoing and stuff, and I don't always want to do a bunch of setup and shit, you know? It's frustrating. But I get that that's maybe necessary. And I mean, I've got swag on though. This shirt's fine. I just need to show the text on it. There's no problem with me wearing a shirt with the channel's name on it. It's just it's not showing it though. The channel, but. Well, it is true that there's a finite, a fairly small and certainly finite audience for the most intellectual of my talkings, and some of the time I'm engaging in more intellectual talkings, and sometimes less intellectual talkings. Some of the times I'm making more jokes and stuff, and I'd like to think that if I'm in a particularly jokey mood and I'm being funny, that more people would think it's funny than the size of the population here. So, for example, I understand that when I'm getting highly TI about shit and explaining things in great TI detail, that is appealing to a small population. In fact, I recognize that when INTPs get too TI in their channels, I find that stuff boring. I can't watch it myself. So I recognize that certain approaches are going to be off-putting to a majority of people because it's either too dense with the TI stuff or because of FE symbols stuff, etc. But okay, let me read this question. Considering that third slot can be irritating to first slot and fourth slot can be charming, are there examples where first slot is irritating in somebody else to someone with second slot? I agree. Third slot can be irritating to first slot. But I would say it's especially so, like, third slot NE and ESTJ is more irritating to me than third slot NE and ESFJ. I agree with you. Fourth slot can be charming. I find both ISFJs and ISTJs, extroverted intuition or lack thereof, charming. You know, when you see your dominant function in somebody else as their fourth slot function, it makes you go, "Oh, how adorable." The question of, are there examples where first slot is irritating in somebody else, someone with second slot? No, it might be the other way around. There are examples where a dominant will find the second slot version of it a little irritating. For example, I tend to find on occasion INTP and INFP, extroverted intuition, irritating because it seems like we're never moving forward on this thing, or it seems like they're not answering the question for the purposes of moving forward, or something like that. They're just they're getting stuck in the node. You got to resolve a node. In order to resolve a hole, you've got to resolve a set of nodes. And you've got to manage the amount of time you spend working on the nodes, the amount of time you spend traveling between the nodes, metaphorically or otherwise, and that's the only way you're gonna get the whole thing, is if you complete all the nodes. But for certain types, it's very easy to get sucked into getting dragged down into a certain node and spending too much time on that. In other words, not prioritizing meatity. Yeah, Dustin Salisbury, that's true. largely the white audience has no desire to understand cognitive function. They love to see their type in a title and then watch that video and chuckle. And that's so true. Yeah, that's true. If two people have the same fourth slot, both are frustrated. Same for ENTP, all over the place with their NE. I mean, I don't think of myself as being as all over the place as, say, an INTP is. Like INTPs, for example, here's an example of second slot NE bugging me. They don't understand that you can't just constantly look for new music. You have to have a growing repertoire of, or library or pile of music that you listen to and you come back to periodically to keep the SI up there in the mix. But INFPs and INTPs, they never really get the whole point of music, which is to have your gems that you know from personal experience. You get to experience them. That's part of the joy of it. And you know that they're sort of permanently good from an NI level. And they forsake that by always looking for new stuff, always weirder stuff, just countervaluing NI. That can be annoying. But I don't find INTPs and INFPs in general annoying. I'm just saying when I am annoyed with them, it can be about that. What are you even on about? I have my gems. Well, sure, you have your gems. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, you'll be the sole survivor of Guillotine Fest 2020. How can a human being don't know what music is about? I don't know. I tried NE here to my chagrin and enthusiastically a real NE enters the room. Suddenly you're smiling and moist. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm just saying, Dustin Salisbury, not that every INTP doesn't have a catalog. That's the best word, a catalog of music they love, or that every INFP does. I'm saying it's one of the ways in which INTPs and INFPs can annoy me is they can be constantly finding new stuff and not enjoying familiar stuff. Sounds like a Slayer concert. What doesn't sound like a Slayer concert these days, you know? Totally sounds like a Slayer concert. Okay, so I'm going to play this new song again. I played it before, but I wrote this new song. I'm going to play it and see what you guys think. If you've heard it before, I appreciate your indulgence. I'm still getting it down and everything, you know. But I think I've got it done pretty good now. 30,000 days, too many expectations, most of them not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights, sleep off intoxication, otherwise you can't escape the plan. They wasted half of my days, I trusted their stupid ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Anybody here know the key? 'Cause I'm tired of doing it wrong. I want direction and I have all along. Wait until I know. Or is that hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What it is I show isn't so below my station. I'm tired of doing it so wrong. They wasted half of my days, I trusted their stupid ways. Who can't tell priorities? I messed that up, but 'cause I think I'm doing it it wrong. Yeah, I think I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, I think I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, I think I'm doing it wrong. I kind of messed up part of it there, but you get the general gist of it. It's a pretty good song. I like it. Makes me think, not too bad. Eric, has it ever occurred to you that you are a schizo in your room and we are just little voices and alternate personalities in my head? I would say no. That doesn't seem to be consistent with the data. Thanks, Tiny Man. Thanks, Lero. Thanks, Samuel, for your feedback. I guess I'll play another song. Full FI. This is pretty full FI. You come outside, your arms are folded, getting scolded for playing again. I wanna be as much as I can in terms of the man you want me to be. I gotta do what I gotta do. I'll include you in everything that I can. 'Cause I'm your man and you're my girl. I mean my woman in the world. You are the one I will be with till my dying day. Goodbye, Samuel Varghese. I want your belief. You want my attention. I got invention going again. I wanna be as much as I can in terms of the man you want me to be. But Kimberly, please don't be mad at me. No, I played this song 'cause I'm your man and you're my girl. I mean my woman in the world. You are the one I will be with till my dying day. I'm your man and you're my girl. I mean my woman in the world. You are the one I will be with till my dying day. That's what I call grindcore. That's a little something I call grindcore. Hi, and welcome back to another hour of grindcore under the moonlight. I'm your host, Grindcore George. Welcome to Grindcore under the moonlight. Tonight we're exploring the wonderful world of ragecore, screamcore, grindcore, and the marimba, nightcore. Hi, welcome to Core Radio. Tonight we're going to be listening to some wonderful songs featured in the genres of grindcore, screamcore, ragecore, nightcore, and all the other cores, you're going to hear wonderful songs like I Vomited on My Baby Yesterday. And My Baby Didn't Even Care. By Ragecore Band. Grindcore in the Park, presented by NPR. Hi, welcome to Grindcore in the Park. I'm Stan Walthout here on the Splendid Park. The Splendid Park. It's like the Splendid Table, but for park things. My guest today, before the concert begins here at Grindcore in the Park, my guest today is Grindcore aficionado Elliot Sampson. Elliot, can you tell us a little bit about what makes Grindcore so special to you? Yeah, I can, Gene. You see, Grindcore is about what really matters in the heart of music. And that's, noisy, ragey yelling and stuff. That's what really, really makes you want to sing along with something. Is when it has practically no melody. It's mostly just screaming. And that's what inside of that. Because when you first hear that, you think, God, this is terrible garbage. But inside of it is a secret morsel of a song. It's melodically genius. It's got rhythm to it that is not just blah, 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 blah. And it's incredible. But you got to break open that Ragecore song, and inside of there's a little bit of proto song. There's a chewy nougat, like a tender shoot growing from a bamboo plant. Euro house noise is, well, it's better than just random noise that you get in the street. If you think you can pick up Euro house noise just by walking on the street and listening to whatever, jackhammers and stuff, no. Euro house noise is not something that just happens. You have to make it with your genius, okay? Like, if I'm making a noise track, right, and there's a lot of stuff, right? Do I want to have a in there, or do I want to have it makes a big difference. And it takes a genius to distinguish between those things. Stalag is a good sound to include in any Ragecore song, as well as Mezbrow. Yeah, sure, Mezbrow. That sounds like the name of somebody, like a terrible wizard in a book. Mezbrow Stalag. Hi, I'm Mezbrow Stalag. I'm the wizard who's been causing so many problems lately. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The plagues and such. Plagues, yeah. Stealing your life force. Mezbrow is Japanese. Is it a Japanese form of unibrow? Is it a Japanibrow? We've got Japanibrows. How do you make your brows look more like mine? Well, first, be born in Japan. I always preferred books or films to music. Well, I'm a big book fan as well. I'm a book and music fan. I always preferred both to films. My music conjures delicate memories of my childhood, such as the grammar TMNT sherbet popsicles and ice cream truck. That is what grindcore is to me. Who said that? Is that actually a quote from somebody, Dustin Salzberg? Why is Jesse Lee Peterson so famous, Eric? I don't think Jesse Lee Peterson is very famous. I've never heard of Jesse Lee Peterson. Who's Jesse Lee Peterson? Is it Jordan Peterson's daughter, by any chance? Probably. I don't even know her name. I just know her as Jordan Peterson's daughter because she had some sort of pro meat eating advocacy that people like to see. She's an attractive girl, and she agrees that eating meat is good. Probably. I don't know. I don't even know what she looks like. You make experimental ambient and piano songs? Okay, well, Tiny Man 66, have you tried recording vocals over them that sound like like that? Is that really? It's like, wow, that really speaks to me. It's like the angels are singing in heaven above. I'm sure they are, Cloud. They're becoming dry and stale for you. Because, you fundamentally don't like extroverted intuition in and of itself. You're an SE user. I gotta go pee. Don't try to stop me this time, okay? You stopped me too many times already. Who is not famous as hell? Raphael, he's okay. He's not famous as hell. I can do that so sad. I mean, I agree with you, Engans, here. Simply because the experiential pleasures of sex it's like you can't really multitask in that capacity. I can listen to music while doing lots of other things too. Some people probably have sex with music on, but not me. I find audio data in general, especially music and or talking, to be distracting. Where are you ants here? Stupid ants. Nobody likes you, ants. I dislike the ants, and I dislike the flies. You're shooting me a glance, and asking me whys. I mastered the night flight. Hello, Baton Rouge. But you turn your radio down. Thanks for calling. I've got plenty of Java and Chesterfield Kings, but I feel like crying. Tonight, the night, daylight, till the sun comes down, the skyline. You'll never believe it, but once there was a time when love was in my life. It was you. It was you. Tonight you're still on my mind. Yeah, I am transracial. What's coming from the inside of people? Their urine? It's true. Appetite of society? You mean too consumed by consumption, or what? Can any of you explain why a movement like BLM exists? Because lack of meta-analysis. You know, it's why we need meta-analysts. People like getting whipped up. People like getting whipped up about stuff, you know? And people like getting, when they're angry about something, they feel as though there's some sort of thing in place that how the constructive of silence and scream your opinions over your opposed views? Well, probably if you are an avid advocate of Black Lives Matter, then you feel that by and large, others' narratives have been prioritized over yours, that you haven't had an opportunity to get your narratives out as much as you should have in the past. People do like being angry, especially when they feel as though they're well justified by anger. For the people who are really into BLM, they genuinely want there to be more and more of those things. They want there to be more dead people shot by cops because they're not reacting honestly to the situation and saying this needs to stop. They're using it to make some other point, you know? It is a herd mentality. It's ridiculous. Well, I love Furrows. The point is, even if the statistics showed that many more Black people got shot by cops than white people, it still wouldn't make any sense because the problem is not that the people has nothing to do with the people being shot, right? So it's like if a police officer kills a citizen, they need to have a very good reason, in my opinion, to do that. Like, for example, more than just somebody thrashing around, more than just throwing a punch or reaching for a cop's gun or something. They need to prioritize, as a general rule, the quick and successful apprehension of the person, put them in cuffs, restrain them if need be, depending on how much they're thrashing about, and removal of them to a secure location, and not take advantage of this opportunity to get in a few extra punches and stuff. That kind of shit's got to stop. People need to, we need professional police officers. Many people should resist arrest. For sure, most of those casualties were entirely preventable. I mean, I agree people shouldn't resist arrest, but I hold the police to a higher level of accountability than I do criminals, which is to say, of course, criminals are going to be prone to doing stupid shit like resisting arrest. But I would like to have a professional police force that understands it's trying to preserve the well-being of others, not harm people physically because somebody gives them the opportunity to. It's not being used legitimately. It's being used as an excuse to beat on people and harm them and shit. The point is, we should all be on the same page about police use of force, which is to say, it should be used only when necessary and as little as you can get away with. That there, under no circumstances should, I had some conceivable cause to fear for my life be an excuse for cops opening fire on people. I've heard cops say plenty of times things like, hey, you got to do what you got to do because we got to make it home from patrol or whatever. Well, the people you kill have to make it home too. You're the ones who are supposed to be so brave and taking the risk. That means you err on the side of not shooting somebody. And if it ends up getting you killed or whatever, you've at least not made the worst mistake. Every cop should think it's better that I get shot first than accidentally shoot an innocent person. Shoot somebody in a context where it's not absolutely necessary. I agree defunding the police is insanity. It's ridiculous. As soon as you defund the police, what's the first thing you have to do? Create a new police force and fund it. No, crime numbers are down. It's a separate issue. Look, for people who want to be on the side of the police or the side of BLM, then they're going to ignore the reality of it, which is it is a problem. Police violence is a problem if you want to be on the side of the police. And if you're in BLM, you're going to ignore the problem. The problem is a lack of transparency in the police community and law enforcement officials in general, and a tolerance for unnecessary uses of force. Those are real problems. No, see, that's what people who are groupists think, LO Froze. You want to be on one side or the other and to frame it that way, but you're wrong. The problem is what I said, not what you said. I'm correct and you're not correct. This is not ideological subversion. No, you've got idiots on both sides. BLM, full of idiots, bunch of racists who don't get how they're in the implicit contradiction in everything that they're doing ought to cause them cognitive dissonance. And on the police side, you got idiots who say, I want to use principles of rule of law to justify behavior by the police that should never be justified, that any basic person with a conscience finds appalling. No, I didn't see that. But that's a sort of irony that BLM is certainly it's implicit to BLM. Did you see the disband of the police protest that asked for police protection for the march? Right? Ridiculous. No, LO Froze, you're wrong. There are plenty of idiots who have jobs as reporters and stuff. Are there publications that have clear sort of ideological angles and agendas? Yeah, but that doesn't stop talking about things being controlled. Nobody else is fundamentally more controllable than you are, Elbow Furrows. We're all, no, you are. You are in the favor of this notion of a nefarious, centralized force of bad guyness. That's just not how shit goes. The problem is, if you want to say some sort of leftist agenda, what it is reality is threading back and forth. Sometimes it crosses the path of the leftist agenda, and you go, see? Well, there are people promoting a leftist agenda, sure. But the notion that this is the consequence of some group like that promotes agendas, and we are all under control. Are you under control of the super wealthy, Hello for us? Am I? Am I checking with my super wealthy bosses to make sure that it's okay if I say this stuff, or what? How are we under control? But I'm not doing that, though. No super wealthy person is controlling what I say or do on any given occasion. Simply is not the case. Factually false. People in your conspiracy things. Okay, well, that's true. We've not experienced the military taking over, but even if the military were to take over, I mean, remember, think about it this way. If there's a law prohibiting me from wearing a bra, it doesn't inhibit my liberty. It inhibits my liberty, but not my freedom at all, because I'm not interested in wearing a bra. So I'm never going to anyway. I'm not going to try to. So it doesn't inhibit my freedom. It inhibits my liberty. Whoever it is you're talking about, but people, look, everybody here needs to stop, take a step back, and actually think for a second. Who's being controlled by rich people? Are you, Annie? Are you a level froze? Are you Angantir? Because these are metaphorical uses of the word control. Yeah, super wealth is tied up. It's not like they got billions in their checking account. Correct, Angantir. Yeah, people are obsessed with they. It's the same. It's the same kind of wrongness that leads people to advocate for disadvantaged populations. They need my advocacy. They don't need or want your advocacy. They're human beings just like you. They can make their own advocacies. Everybody's the same. Annie, El Lobo Furrows, you two think that you're special, that you see through this controlling thing that's happening by some centralized group. But you see through it, but everybody else doesn't see through it. No. Government puts limits on citizen behavior for sure. And sometimes we are actually controlled. Like right now, as I go about my business, I have to wear a mask in certain contexts. then my actual liberty and freedom are both being infringed upon. That's a real problem. Correct. So, Annie, are you advocating in favor of letting it run its course? How about you, Low Rose? Do you also believe we should let it run its course? Bubes. 3060 bubes. Ba, 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 boom. Explain to you how breaking up the family concept bettered America. Explain to me who broke up the family concept, what that means, when that happened. Do I think this has something to do with inequality? I don't even know what you mean. I mean, you assume a lot of stuff as events that aren't events. You misconstrue things that are issues of the marketplace of ideas and perceive them as events, directed events. That's wrong. So everything that follows from that's going to be wrong. No, capitalism is the absence of unjust use of force to prevent people from doing what they want in terms of commerce with each other. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. For God's sakes, you people are fucking nuts. Seriously, LO Froze, you're just being silly. You're being absolutely ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. Nobody destroyed whatever you said, whatever ridiculous garbage you said. Nobody broke up the family concept. We still have families all the time. It's not until very recently that people started seeing non-nuclear families on TV and commercials and stuff. It's like your 60s shit is garbage. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. It was all the media. It was the same old story. It was family ties with mom and dad and the 3 kids. It was growing pains. It was mom and dad and the 3 kids. It was commercials of all sorts that display what the norm is, better than anything else. But El Lobo Feroz, your claim is factually false. You're saying that in the 60s, somebody broke the family concept. That's simply not true. I was born in 71. I mean, it's true that ideation continues throughout history and that people evolve metaphysically. They don't evolve physically, but they do evolve metaphysically. Ideas do grow and change. And it's not the case that your alternative to more openness about individual choice and ontology and stuff is a bad thing. You're wrong. It's crazy. Ridiculous. Red paint splashed on Black Lives Matter mural in front of Trump Tower. Do you guys hear that Grant Imahara is dead? former MythBusters host. He joined in like the third season or something. He died today of a brain aneurysm at age 49. Same age as me. I'm 49 right now. It's one of those all of a sudden things, you know? Megan Thee Stallion. Who's Megan Thee Stallion spotted with Kylie Jenner despite Jordan Woods' friendship? Who's Megan Thee Stallion? Why is her name Megan Thee Stallion? Megan Jovan Ruth Pete, known professionally as Megan Thee Stallion, is an American rapper, singer, and songwriter. Born 1995. She's 25 years old. Megan Thee Stallion hospitalized for foot injury. Here's a full list of things that could not have happened if everyone was still social distancing like they should be. According to TMZ, Tony Lanez was arrested Sunday morning when shots were fired following an argument and an SUV reportedly fitting the description of Lanez's vehicle peeled away. After searching the rapper's car, the responding officers allegedly found a concealed weapon for which he was charged with a felony. Why is he charged with a felony for having a gun? Don't we have a Second Amendment here? Oh, it was concealed weapon. Okay. Why are they searching his car? What reason did they have to search the car? Friends were quick to point out that both Megan and Lanez had been hanging out at a pool party at Kylie Jenner's house in the Hollywood Hills Saturday evening, a claim substantiated by video of the party on Instagram Live and soon thereafter the rest of the internet. Instagram Live, huh? Lanez was charged and released after posting $35,000 bail. He's scheduled to appear in court, but one could argue he's being punished enough now that Twitter has discovered the rapper is allegedly 5'3" from his booking documents and is currently mercilessly roasting him. That's not very nice. Why are they busting his chops so much? Who cares if he's short? I guess he said he was 5'7", but he's actually 5'3". Okay, let's see here. Let me go up. So Elvis's, how does it feel being on the other end of 25? Well, it feels safer in general. This is the best period of my life. The last I mean, the time in Laverne was challenging. there were some stretches of it that I enjoyed a lot, and it was memorable and worth something. But yeah, in general, this has been among the best periods for sure. I'm not. I would say high school was fun. I liked high school, and I like the last 6 years or so. Okay, so look at these things. Number one, corrupt the young, get them interested in sex, take them away from religion, make them superficial and enfeebled. I don't think taking the young away from religion is a way to weaken them. I was raised an atheist. Number two, divide the people into hostile groups by constantly harping on controversial issues of no importance. Yeah, I mean, that is a strategy of that may seem like that. Of course, what it really should say, if you want it to be an accurate description of things, is when by constantly harping on wedge issues that aren't largely significant in the bigger issue of governance, because let's prioritize winning on our side over engaging in the issue substantively. And then the other side does the same thing. Now what I just did was an accurate description of what you try to make, what you, again and again, you try to avoid giving me an agent. And you have vague and nefarious agents. Who divides the people? Who? The reality is the people divide themselves. 3, destroy people's faith in their national leaders by holding up the ladder for contempt, ridicule, and escape. Disgrace. So, I mean, people should have no faith in their national leaders right now in America. Our national leaders don't deserve anything but contempt, ridicule, and disgrace, especially Trump. He's absolutely a moron. He's terrible. Always preach democracy, but seize power as fast and efficiently as possible. Well, I mean, what are where do you get these things from, though? Who do you think is adhering to these rules? What sort of secret team of evil that all agrees with all this, lock, stock, and barrel, are you imagining in your make-believe world? Okay, well, you and your guys' make-believe world are not interesting to me. We have actual reality, and it's so simple to see. None of us, we have all seen people supporting terrible positions who are not themselves elite. We have all seen people who have no possible way of benefiting from something argue that it's desirable. Because, why? Because they are dumb, not evil. Get it through your fucking head. The reason things are the way they are is because people are dumb, not evil. Not because there's some centralized conspiracy to make it happen. Okay? Look, there are certain things in the world that are the consequence of willful, intentional action by a group. There are. That's true. But by and large, lawnmower, I agree. Evil people manipulate dumb people and get them to go along with bad stuff.
Here's the problem everybody with this line of thinking has, which is there, by and large, are no evil people. There are individuals who behave immorally or unethically. And when that happens, you're right. Dumb people are more likely to go along with that. Now, additionally, there are people who are extremely well-intentioned and trying to do their best morally and still advocating incredibly wrong shit. Now, I don't think anybody here thinks Winston's mom is some secret agent of the elite trying to impose wrongness on us. Yet, she advocated strongly in favor of quarantine type stuff for COVID. She was wrong, not evil. She didn't know she was wrong. Most people, you don't know you're wrong. Hello, Rose. If you can't tell you're wrong, why do you think everybody else can? You believe what you're saying, even though you're wrong, right? That's everybody, except for me and a couple people here and there, you know? I agree they don't deserve to be manipulated. And I agree that when individuals do unethical or immoral things, that often manifests as the manipulation of people towards their ends. But there's no centralized puppet master thing going on here. It's the way small wells of power competing against each other in a complex dynamic system act. And attributing causal links to intentionality by some group is where you will always run afoul, because occasionally such groups do that. But even when they do, when you've attributed a certain behavior to them, well, is it a crime? If so, let's arrest and punish them. If not, then let's stop talking about it. You can only deal with specific acts. It's sort of a general fog of nefarious, ill-intended behavior that's being presumed here. It undermines the ability to meaningfully talk about anything. It's later than I thought. It's 5 in the morning already. Five in the morning, police at my door. Yeah, people need to stop worrying so much about people and start worrying more about policy. Instead of complaining that the policy is bad now because of evil people, implementing some nefarious plan, let's talk about what policy ought to be and how we should change the political process. Well, one of the things we should change is we should change the way we talk about it. So we're talking about things that actually matter. If you're just talking about NI truths of nefariousness, you can't establish those not meaningfully enough, and they're probably wrong, and you're barking up the wrong tree. That's not how you prescribe, not how you affirm policy, and it's not how you negate policy. I agree policies are developed by people, but you shouldn't elect somebody or vote for somebody based on you wouldn't hire the nicest guy to be a carpenter if he didn't know any carpentry, right? But we have a tendency to hire people we have a good jibe on to be president, even though they have no competency for the job. No, first of all, Elder Wilferose, to speak correctly of the United States is to say these United States. It's supposed to be a federation of states. And that's why it's the federal government. It's not one nation with 50 counties or something. Those are states. We have dual sovereignty. The state has sovereignty and the federal government. The state, the way it's supposed to be is the state has sovereignty over the citizens. The way it's supposed to be is that I'm first and foremost a Californian. And sort of incidentally, California is a member of the U.S. Federation of States, and so I'm part of the U.S. Federation as well. But I should be. If the United States had turned out the way it was intended, we'd all refer to ourselves as citizens of the state in which we reside, and not of the country, because the state is called a state because it's supposed to be like an independent state. It's not supposed to be a portion of a country. Federal overreach is so. Here's the difference between talking meaningfully about policy and talking meaninglessly about policy. Here's an example of talking meaningfully about policy. Federal overreach is a serious problem, but the only way to attack that problem is something that I will be able to do as president, which is to work with case law. That is to say, to create situations where there's a constitutional question and then argue on the side of more constraint of the federal government using the Attorney General office accordingly. Now, that is a meaningful conversation about policy. What's not a meaningful conversation about policy? They'll never let you do that because they are pulling strings and stuff. That's not meaningful. What I just said is a meaningful conversation about policy. I explained what the problem is, what the solution is, what the barriers to solution are, how I'm going to get past those barriers and solve the problem. Winston's mom can't answer you right now, Raphael. She's a Navy SEAL. She's currently on a mission to blow up a COVID factory in China. After that, she's going to go have lunch with the dominant elites. Everyone is mean sometimes. I guess so. That's what all the Navy SEALs say. That's code for, I'm engaged in top secret shit right now. Don't bug me. Even me, what? I feel like punishing people is just making things fair, though. Well, there should be naturally occurring consequences for things. Whenever we get in the way of natural consequences, we do everybody a disservice. But I think that imposed consequences are a little bit different. ESXFPs are evil because they don't see any value in TI that creates logical fairness to situations. Well, they're just the problem with ESXFPs is they're perfectly equipped with their cognitive function stack to understand what's the correct choice for them personally. And they're incredibly ill-equipped to understand what's the correct choice for everyone because they are highly particularist in their frame of reference. Remember, El Lobo Froze, capitalism is just the absence of, I mean, I'd agree with you at the moment, actually. I would agree that capitalism is under substantial assault at the moment by these lockdowns and such. But again, I see it. Is it a problem of government overreach? Yes, but it's mostly a problem of not having done any of the argumentational work to understand why this approach is so wrong. You don't do diffuse harm for concentrated good. It's bad enough we justify it the other direction. Diffuse good for concentrated harm. But it never makes sense to do diffuse harm for concentrated good. So we shouldn't ban peanuts for everybody because there's a lot of peanut allergy out there. That's not how shit gets done. When it's flu season, the burden is on the people who go get their flu shot if they want it, if they want to be protected by that. And if they don't, they don't. Government underreach? I mean, they've shut down the whole state now for like 3 months total. Are you insane? How much more oppression do you want? It doesn't work, but I said it wouldn't work from the get-go. I knew that. I already predicted this, and I got it right. They claimed there were 4% fatality rate. I said from the get-go it was at least at the most 0.5% and probably lower. I said 0.4, and now 0.4 looks like it's exactly what it is. I said that at the beginning. Everybody just disagreed with me. No, it didn't work because they couldn't enforce them because it was a stupid idea to begin with, Annie. You have to make advocacies in reality, not in a world that you wish were the case, where everybody was a compliant sheep who went along with your stupid idea, just even though it wasn't proved or anything at all, just because of some panic mongering. If you make those policy advocacies unaware of the fact that that reality is not everybody's going to want to participate in that, and that you can't actually have a real quarantine. If I've got a bunch of people in the supermarket together with masks on buying food, why are other places shutting down? Well, because supermarkets are necessary. If it's safe enough to shop at the supermarket with masks on, then it's safe enough to shop at the mall with masks on. You can't arbitrarily pick and choose places that you shut down, places that you don't, and expect good outcomes. It didn't work, but wasn't the point to flatten the curve? It did flatten the curve. But what did I say at the time, IAG last? It won't do any good. You're just delaying the infections. You're delaying the time by which people can feel secure. Having had it, having been over it, being now immune to it, presumably, then they can relax. You're delaying that time. Let it run its course. I mean, otherwise, they're going to be up an anti-Langs world where the cops are going house to house with a shotgun and sticking it in people's face and telling them to put on a mask. That's insane. We don't want that world. This is not any different than an average flu, except for the fact that nobody has any immunity to it. As far as the fatality rate, it's lower than most flus. As far as the harm done to the average person who has the COVID virus, it's much less than any average flu. Okay, but see, Annie, if they're necessary, but do you understand, Annie, that it doesn't work if it's not complete, right? So if, in fact, being together in a store with masks on spreads COVID, and that's the primary concern, then you can't do it in grocery stores either. Who are you to say what's necessary? Why are you telling everybody what's necessary for them? So, yeah, we're not going to put up with that bullshit anymore in the United States or anywhere else. Once we start thinking, then we don't need to do that. Yeah, I know. And in fact, I ate at a restaurant recently. Restaurants were reopened. I ate there, and I ate with no mask, right? Concurrently, I still had to wear a mask at the supermarket. So why, Annie? Don't think, if you're going to force everybody to do something, shouldn't you have to show that it's going to work? Okay, but here's the thing with that IAG last. It presumes some assumptions that were false in the first place, and I pointed out, which is it's not the case that the healthcare system would be overburdened by those COVID cases because the actual amount of people who get the disease seriousness, seek hospitalization is so incredibly small. And nobody listened to me. I was right. Why don't we just shut down everything again so we can continue to flatten the curve? Why did Newsom in California shut down again today then, if the reason was to flatten the curve? Hasn't it been flattened? So it's true, if its goal was to flatten the curve, it succeeded. But the fact that its goal was to flatten the curve when there was no need to flatten the curve is just further reason to think it's worthless shit, worthless garbage. I don't care, Annie. I'm okay with getting it. I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, I should be eating in a restaurant. Okay, Annie, first of all, you shouldn't be telling me what I should do. Okay? So I don't want you to leave the house ever again because you might jostle somebody and they might fall over and die. So you stay home forever. That's what's you're not necessary, Annie. You're not necessary. The grocery store is necessary, but you are not. You are not allowed out of the house anymore. So the only way I can guarantee that you're never going to get or spread COVID is to keep you in the house forever. It's not okay. What is this? You say it's a public health issue. That doesn't justify taking courses of action that don't work and impose force on everybody a single perspective without any rule of law, without any due process of law. Doesn't justify it at all. It's not a war. And if we are to say it's a public health issue, then we'll treat it the same as equivalent public health issues. The fatality rate is lower than the average flu. The total amount of harm done to the average person who gets the disease is lower than the average flu. I have proof in the first place. No, IG last, you're misinterpreting me. I said I hate it when Jack is just dissembling, which he was. He wasn't working towards agreement. I'm working towards agreement here. I'm right, so I'm defending my position strongly. I'm not obligated to take any courses of action, Pedro. You're putting the onus on the wrong person. The person with the special needs has the responsibility to attend to those needs. Everybody can be responsible for themselves, Pedro. There's no us who's responsible for everybody. You need to get that out of your fucking head. I mean, yeah, I get mad when people are wrong in ways that are offensive, or I get mad when people are wrong about public policy because they're trying to impose their wrongness on everybody. But with Jack, I got mad because he was dissembling. He was trying to avoid making meaningful engagement about a topic so that he wouldn't lose a point. That I hate. And I don't create that atmosphere. I'm perfectly willing to lose points. Just be right. That's it. It's that simple. I will always be happy to lose any point. All you have to do is have a better argument than the one I'm making. Be correct. Be more correct than me, and I will embrace your position. Then I won't make the mistake of losing an argument again. But it's true. I mean, I hate how stubborn people are about shit. But it comes from being very wrong, you know? When you have a lot of the wrong assumptions, you're going to be super stubborn. It's unavoidable. I mean, because you got to evaluate things universally. It's like there's no meaningful way to evaluate this question of the COVID shit without taking into consideration opportunity cost. If we're going to devote trillions and trillions of dollars of resources to something, is this the best use of those resources? Is this how you save the most lives? Is this how you benefit people the most or prevent the most harm? And the answer is absolutely not. So, I mean, that's the thing. Annie, when you're advocating in favor of this, you're advocating taking trillions of dollars that would have gone towards saving lives and directing it to something else. You're costing lives. Resources are not infinite. We have to respect that. No, he didn't want to concede. He was confused about what objective and subjective meant, but I caught him in multiple double binds on it, and he refused to concede the point. Is it that hard to worry about just your own face, Pedro? Or do you need to worry about mine too? That's the best question. Hey, Pedro, nobody's trying to stop you from wearing a mask. Why are you trying to force me to wear one? Note that only one of us is trying to force the other person. I am telling you nothing about what you should do with your face. You sure are presumptuous to assume you know what I should do with my face. If you say I should wear a mask, is it because you suspect me of being infected with COVID? Do you have any reason to think I have COVID and can spread it? Does anybody have any reason to think that? No, Annie, it would be over by now if we had just let it run its course without the additional harms that you are forcing us to incur, and you and people like you with your wrong ideas are forcing us to incur a bunch of additional harms that are totally unnecessary. Everybody's going to get it anyway. Yeah, why don't you just force people to wear goggles too? It passes through the eyes. Okay, so you're willing to force me to wear a mask, Pedro. Do you have any reason to believe I'm able to spread it? How do you know I'm not immune? How do you know I don't have it? So because you don't know for sure that I don't have COVID, you're going to force me to wear a mask. Pedro, almost nobody dies from it. Why don't we do this for every flu? This has a lower fatality rate than any average flu. Why don't we do this every year for the flu then? I mean, I've said this before. I respect, at least technically, the store's right to force me to wear a mask. It's their store. It's not my store, and I have to follow their rules. If they say to go in my store, you have to wear a mask, and I have to wear a mask and go to the store. There's nothing I can do about that. But it doesn't stop me from pointing out people like Pedro Castro have done a shit ton of harm, a shit ton of ill-advised harm without thinking through these issues at all. There has been no adequate solvency to justify the harms here whatsoever, nothing even remotely close. And people who are arguing for this don't even know how to make the arguments. The things they're arguing make no sense whatsoever. They're not applied consistently. There's no efficacy. That's not why, Annie Liang. It's because people have, okay, that's part of it. That and the fact that people have some immunity to the flu. It's true that in this disease, everyone will get it. That's not a reason to force everybody with your bullshit. Stop putting your gun in people's faces and forcing them to do shit. It's evil and wrong of you, Annie. You don't even know if I'm contagious. And Annie, note, I'm not trying to force you to wear a mask. So why are you trying to force me? If you're so worried about catching it, then don't go outside. If you want to quarantine yourself, quarantine your fucking self. Don't try to lock me in my house too. You mind your own fucking business. Yeah, I'm sure Finland's great. Good. I'm glad. Here in California, it's a bunch of fuckery. Yeah, if you can justify forcing everyone to wear a mask, why don't you justify prohibiting all alcohol? That kills way more people than this virus ever will. Sweden's laughing at all of us. They never had a lockdown. And how many people have died of that virus there? Hardly any. Are you gonna make McDonald's illegal? If you think that's unhealthy, then you can justify doing that. So what equivalent things, therefore, are you justifying? No, you don't get to decide how much cost it is for me. I'm not emotional over wearing a mask. I'm emotional over the fact that somebody is trying to justify forcing me to wear one, even though they've not established that I'm contagious. I might be immune. And there's no indication that masks actually prevent the virus from spreading. It doesn't make any sense, especially when nobody's really wearing them properly either. And the answer, Annie, no, is not more force. It's being sensible, not being an idiot. People who go, oh, I don't understand what a big deal it is. Fuck off. Worry about your own face. Don't worry about mine. You know? But Pedro Castro, do you get my point? Why are you worried about my face? Worry about your own face. If you're worried about your health, then don't go outside. Why are you putting the burden on me? I am not your possession. You don't get to decide what I do with my face. Now, if you could establish that I had the disease, maybe you could justify that. If you could establish that I had a real bad disease that was novel and could infect people, you could justify quarantining me. You've not established anything of the sort. You're saying that because I can't guarantee you I don't have the disease and won't have it, that you should be able to force me to act as though I do. Well, that's just fucked up. I hate every single second is on my face. Absolutely, I do. I find it an affront to my liberty, my freedom, my humanity. Annie, it doesn't fucking matter. That doesn't justify you forcing people. And your wickedness is not going to escape. If that justifies you forcing people, then I am justified forcing you to do all kinds of stuff. You should stay in your house forever. Never leave your house. You might hurt somebody. It's possible. It's not even a fucking issue, except that we're making it one. If it just went on, it just ran its course, nobody would hardly notice. There'd be an uptick in hospitalizations and deaths, and then it would pass. That would be the big flu season. That would have been it. But no, it's not the case that everyone's wearing masks. It's not the case. In other words, Annie, you have to have full compliance, which means more guns in people's faces, or it's pointless. You can't have businesses you designate necessary and let people still go to them if you don't want them to spread it. If masks work well enough, then there should never have been a shutdown, should there? And yet now we're expected to accept another arbitrary indication from the government when the first one was proved how fucking stupid it was, as I called it in the beginning, when they lied to us and told us there was 4% fatality rate, when it's 0.4% fatality rate, when that lie with the core source of narrative that drove this whole bullshit in the first place, that lie has been exposed and you're still arguing the same arguments. That's fucking stupid. You should know better. Who cares, Pedro Castro? That's not the only thing that matters. You have to measure impacts against one another. You're not considering the negative impacts. You're not considering the rash of suicides. You're not considering the riots, the social unrest. You're not considering ruining people's lives. The presumption. The wickedness. You need to stay out of politics entirely. Stop presuming you know what's best for everybody. Put the burden where it belongs. It's wicked what you're doing. It's statism at its worst. Shame on you. There are principles we follow in order to avoid this kind of a clusterfuck of a disaster. That means ignoring people like you with your bullshit utilitarian justifications that only count the impacts you feel like counting. Measure all of the impacts you're going to do. Impact justified. If you're going to justify your advocacy with impacts, measure all of them, not just the ones you like. Idiot.
I don't smoke crystal meth. I don't know what you're talking about. I did before in the past of crystal meth. I was actually a meth addict for about 3 or 4 years, early 2000s, 2000, 2004, somewhere in there. But I don't do meth anymore. I've done it more recently than that. I did it a couple years ago, maybe actually more than a couple years ago now. But I haven't done it. I haven't done it in the last 2 years, at least. It was easy. It was easy quitting meth. Meth is easy to quit. Speed's easy to quit. By the time I finish my bottle of Adderall, I am ready for it to be empty. I'm ready for sleepy week. I'm tired of being on speed. It's perfectly an acceptable thing to worry about. It's not a justification that allows some centralized organization to force all of society to shut down. Annie, let me ask you this, Annie. If I should take you seriously, then you are prepared to give me all the negative impacts of your advocacy, not just the positive impacts. What are the negative impacts? Have you considered them at all? Have you considered opportunity cost? In other words, it doesn't matter how good the thing you're buying is. If you're paying $1 trillion for it, you're paying too much. You know, if your primary goal is safety and saving lives, all these resources that are going currently to doing nothing and shutting society down, small businesses, killing all small businesses, killing family businesses left and right, that sort of thing, the amount of resources being expended on this, you could, if you want to save lives, you could save so many more lives and improve so many more lives with these resources than expending them this way. So even if you're right that we really do have to eat lunch, that doesn't justify you spending $10,000 on a couple of burgers. That's just stupid. Yes, we have to eat lunch. Okay, fine. I'll buy it. That's the primary consideration here. Eating lunch, saving lives, right? But that doesn't justify you spending $10,000 on 2 burgers. And that's the equivalent here. You don't use resources this carelessly and think you're making a good advocacy. It's just wrong. So it's time for you to start thinking. There's a lot of big corporations that are going out of business too. Soup Plantation's already out of business. It's not that big of a corporation, but a lot of restaurant chains are going to go out of business. The ones that have drive-thrus won't. Why? Because of the arbitrary distinction between necessary and unnecessary. It's necessary to that business owner and their family. If I was still running autonomy debate, you know, it's like once a day, it should be enough, James. If it's more than once a day, you're probably getting a little enthusiastic about it. No, that's incorrect, though, Annie Lang. It's totally incorrect. There's not even anywhere close to the amount of damage done when people are shutting down or having reduced businesses because of naturally occurring consequences. It's when you force everybody without any consideration for individual distinctions that you have problems. And that's what you've created here with your advocacies. Okay, I guess I'm going to wrap this up. I think I'm going to do maybe some SI caregiving or something for myself. I'm going to take a bath. And James maybe has motivated me to rub one out. And then pull some bowls, you know, that kind of thing. As a general rule, by the way, gentlemen, young men, older men, whatever,
not ejaculating is unhealthy for your prostate. I'm not angry at you. I'm not angry at anybody. I may seem really angry in the moment, but I immediately forget all about it in a second. So then I'm done live streaming. It's just like, it's like people come back some other live stream later and go, look, I'm sorry, I blah, blah, blah. And I go, what? What are you talking about? I have no idea. Yeah, James, everybody can just be themselves, okay? I might yell at people. It doesn't mean, well, I mean, Pedro, you have advocacies that are bad, in my opinion. I'm not picking on you because I want to pick on Pedro. It's because you are arguing the wrong side, and so I'm arguing against you. Annie is too. You say Annie's picked on. Annie actually is a kid. Okay, that's how equal opportunity chops buster I am. Annie looks to be, I don't know, 14, 15 maybe at the most, maybe 13, something like that. But I'm bringing the hammer on her, so you really don't have anything to whine about. And I know she's a kid too. Sorry, Annie. You seem tough though. You're tough. She's an ISCP. She can handle it. Anyway, thanks for being here, y'all. I appreciate it. I love arguing with you, everybody. Oh, you're 17. Okay. My bad, Annie. My bad. Okay. My bad. Sorry. I know that probably is not what a 17-year-old wants to hear. That you look like you're younger than that, but what can I tell you? Ramblin' Rammies, you came at the wrong time because I'm just about to wrap this shit up. Welcome. What are we talking about? We're talking about whatever people want to talk about. At the moment, we're talking about, yeah, I do feel bad. That's bad FE. You shouldn't guess people's age in general, but because you might be wrong. The thing is, I'm subject to a lot of that too. As people often, when they first encounter me and Rachel together, they go, God, you're robbing the cradle, Eric. What is she, 25? And I'm like, no, she's not 25. She's 35. It's a big difference, If she was 25, that would be too young for me. I would tend to agree that would qualify as robbing the cradle, but 35 is fine. It's one of the main reasons I didn't ask Rachel out sooner, or sort of like look into her as a possible chick to try to get on or whatever, is that she made it a point to inform me that she was older than she looked, that she was 34 at the time. I mean, she was like, well, I mean, yeah, I do. And it's mostly for FE reasons. I don't want to be subject to all that goes along with dating somebody 20 years younger than me or 25 years younger than me. If I were to date a 25-year-old or something, that would be 25 years younger than me. And that is just, it looks dumb. Plus there's also the song Hey 19 by Stone Fagan, which is a song about an old guy, middle-aged kind of guy, who's like, it's probably about himself, I would guess, when he was in his 40s, going to a party and hanging out with this 19-year-old girl, and it says, yeah, we've got nothing in common, we can't talk at all. Please take me along when you slide on down. Hey, 19, that's Aretha Franklin. You might try a relationship one day. Try cousin first. Cousin is the relationship that you should try first. If Chris Hansen asks you to take a seat, she's too young for you. True. So yeah,
I wanted to make sure that whoever I was dating was over 30, but I also was hoping, 35-ish and maybe young looking, would be nice. A few nice things about Rachel is she doesn't have any tattoos, any kids, or any ex-husbands. Now, granted, she does have ex-boyfriends. She wasn't a virgin when I got her, believe it or not. But as long as you two are happy, you're as old as you feel. Well, yeah, we're happy, and it's not a big deal. I have heard from people who are definitely actually making a mistake and not trying to FE the question, is that your daughter? And I say, no, it's not my daughter. I do have a daughter, but this is not she. But I look old for 49 too. So I look old for my age. Rachel looks young for her age. It's understandable. Virgins are rare even at 20. Congratulations, emailed Anthrax. It's felt like a real conqueror. Hey, emailed Anthrax. What do you mean when you got her? You mean she's not still a virgin? You're supposed to keep them that way. If you go on eBay and you buy a mint condition vintage toy in all of its original packaging, do you take it out of the packaging? No. You leave them in the packaging. No, you don't. It's not allowed. Virgins are rare before high school graduation. INFPs are too pure to have sex. I agree. It feels bad being a virgin, but not having a virgin. I'm pretty sure the reality is men can't really be virgins because virginity, I would say, is mostly defined by the hymen. And if it's defined by the first time you ejaculate, then, we're going to be de-virginized at age 13 or something when we have our first nocturnal emission. 12, 13, or whatever. So no matter how you define it, it's not really the case that men are virgins. Women can be virgins because there is their package is still sealed until it's popped. Your FI is a virgin. My FI is a virgin too. I think everybody's FI might be a virgin. Sexual intercourse is over prioritized in general. You shoved a bunch of stuff in your vagina before having sex. Well, you probably didn't have a hymen then. You probably de-virginized yourself. I mean, yeah, I know. It certainly is the case. That plenty of girls lose their hymen prior to fornicating. Also, pair bonding is very real. A lot of girls have pair bonding issues due to previous relationships, fornication. I mean, I agree with you about that kind of lawnmower, but I think it's true for both males and females that if you have a bunch of short-term relationships and you're always aware of other options out there, you're never going to have a deep, meaningful relationship. I mean, chicks come with baggage. You're not going to get many that don't. Guys come with baggage too. All women are virgins before having sex with a real man, which is an ESTP. Let's see. Well, it is the case to a certain extent that obviously men with more status are more desirable, and women with who are younger / more physically attractive have more capital, so it's like dating capital's a real thing, but it's more complicated than just hypergamy. Hypergamy is an element to it, which is to say it's true that a man's dating capital links to his status, but the implications therefrom are often vastly overstated. Re-virginization surgery for women is the fastest growing segment of the Indian cosmetic surgery industry. If you're not 6'1", don't even talk to me, girls. Yeah, well, there is a bias about height that is quite quite like entrenched, and like I reading that article about those people who got pulled over and that guy who got arrested with a gun, and the Twitter stuff about him being 5'3", 120 and laughing at him and stuff. Well, I mean, it's totally not okay, it isn't okay. I'm fortunate in that I'm tall and I'm slender, so what people might call fit, just say not fat, I guess. But yeah, it's true. You don't even need all of those things. you just have status. That's all it takes. I couldn't believe it when I shot a girlfriend this time. It's like I didn't put a lot of thought into what I was doing, but sort of making it clear that I was looking for any chick. It was like there was lots of people lots and lots of women who were interested, and that's not my life, That's new to me. A lot of women are looking for a daddy. I don't know if women are looking for a daddy or not. I think that I don't consider myself to have good looks. I'm not particularly wealthy, although I'm not struggling exactly. But that's not due to me being wealthy. But I do have status in a certain community. You have a huge mommy girlfriend fetish. That means you're a girl, right? Tiny Man 66, you're a chick, right? So what do you mean by that? You mean you want to be the mommy, or you want to? I don't understand. Women date a lot. Women do date a lot, and that's something that is sad for good men. Yeah, I do too. Tiny Man 66. I do too. Oh, you like to be the breastfeeder? Oh. Yeah. What does suck is that if you are a good man who wants to be in a healthy relationship, but it doesn't, it's like, well, if you're like me, right? Here I am, 49 years old, and I know that let's say when I was 40, before I got with Rachel, I knew in advance going in that this woman I get with is going to be younger than me, probably, maybe a fair amount younger than me. Like Rachel's 14 years younger than me, but that even so, she will have slept with many more people than I have, and that's I like that personally, Raphael. Tiny man 6'6" and I would get along just fine. It makes, yeah, it's not a comfortable reality, But one of the things that I've come to understand is that it's less comfortable for them than it is for me. They're less comfortable with their sexual history than I am uncomfortable with their sexual history. The reason being, once she believes in your goodness, she wishes she could have given more to you in some sense. I think women are confused by male sexual dynamics and trying to participate in them accordingly. I think there are chicks out there who are like freaky. There are chicks out there who are genuinely freaky, and I switch back and forth, Raphael. Like with Rachel, I'm exclusively dominant because most women aren't like Tiny Man. I read an article that some chicks just go out with the guys to get free meals and go sleep after with the bad boy. I don't think that happens very often. I mean, most women I know and have talked to find the dating experience just as confusing as men do. The difference being, in general, they find in the dating experience that men want to have sex with them, but don't necessarily want to have a real relationship with them of any sort. And women sort of internalize the idea that, well, that's the norm. I need to be less clingy, I guess, or something. I need to get comfortable with being periodically conquered by different men because we all have our physical needs, but the world's not conducive to a relationship for them, then they're gonna do their thing. That's not a cat, Tiny Man 6'6". That's a peacock. It's the peacocks are getting up and they're greeting the new day. Well, I think you should get a God-fearing girl on, Laura. From what I hear from you, I think that's important to you. Rachel and I don't have the same beliefs, spiritual beliefs at all. I don't think they differ dramatically or anything, but I don't think of faith-based behaviors as something that I normally do with anybody else, or although I could see how it could be a good form of intimacy, to pray with a partner, assuming you're both on the same page about what the words are. You want to start an autonomous, polygamous settlement with a good interconnection, maybe some weird religious elements. What types are most likely to jump in? Okay, so you should open an institute called the Institute for Large-Breasted Young Women, and your job is to teach them to behave themselves. It's mostly a curriculum. It's a curriculum comprised mostly of spankings. First period they have spanking 1. Second period they have spanking each other, a lesson in spanking. Venereal disease buffet. Promiscuous women have fun and give a lot of people temporary happiness. No shame in that. I mean, the thing is, I have never found. We're naming this institute the Institute for Large-Breasted Young Women. The Institute for the Assistance and Training of Large-Breasted Young Women. You didn't smoke weed as soon as you woke up? You're never going to get that opportunity back, Angatir. You blew it. The Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Young Women. Yes, they do have spank dummies, correct. So the girls don't need to practice spanking, so we don't need those. We just need to practice being spanked. They have twice a day breast inspections to make sure that their breasts haven't gotten out of alignment. They have to come over to the headmaster's office and he checks them, make sure, measures, just a quick review of if they've grown or shrunk or anything, and sends her on her way. Could bring to the next one. Yes, they do. Yes, they have to refer to all the teachers as daddy. And so it's like, instead of like Mr. Smith, is Daddy Smith? It's a finishing school, Elijah. The Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Young Women it's a finishing school. We teach the large-breasted young women to behave themselves. It's not a provision of free spankings. It is instead, basically, the Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Young Women is a program that prioritizes real self-growth and real behavioral change through negative reinforcement, namely punishment. It's kind of like the Schick Shadle for slutty young women. You need to learn to be less slutty by having a whole lot of sex.
Hi, I'm Presley Williams. Welcome to my institute. Here at the Presley Williams Institute for Large Breasted Williams Women. I am not only the headmistress, I'm also a graduate. I know how challenging it is to have these large breasts. How all of the blood goes from my brain into my breasts instead, making it difficult for me to think on my own and make my own decisions. That's why I'm still here at the Presley Williams Institute for Large Breasted Women. No, negative reinforcement, yeah. Insufficient eagerness to please is punishable by spanking. You developed plus 100 resistance towards their attention seeking. I mean, women do show a lot of skin. Some women do, but you've written 12 rules for life that suits you more and you think is more important than JB rules. I would like to hear them. I don't doubt that they're better than JVP's rules. Because his rules are, you know what? They're dumb. DUM, dumb. Just like putting yourself in a medically induced coma to get over your benzo addiction is DUM dumb. Look, if Jesus wanted you to be promiscuous, it makes me want to know what your Instagram account name is. Listen, if Jesus wanted us to sleep with a bunch of people, he would have taken that one loaf of bread and turned it into a whole bunch of sluts. He didn't do that. That's why we know that Jesus doesn't want us to fuck a bunch of sluts, right? I don't think I have Instagram, actually, so I don't know if I can look at your boobs, but I would like to. I think it was his daughter who elected to put him in the coma. Apparently, he was already out of his mind. Out of his mind on benzos or what? Really? From just taking too many benzos? The bottom line is, lawnmower, it's perfectly reasonable to want to look at boobs. It's unavoidable. You just can't help it. The question is, do you actually want to sleep around a lot? And the answer to that should be no, I don't. But it would just be a bunch of ESTP that all the women are sleeping with. Well, Tiny Man 66 said, your women are a virgin until they have sex with their first ESTP, which, kind of makes the rest of us feel bad, but it's okay, I guess. I mean, it's like, I don't like the fact that in some sense, no, I mean, I really didn't want to sleep around. I may have thought I wanted to or something, but I never felt comfortable with it at all. I never felt very comfortable. Well, one time, actually. Rule number 1, when you meet a homeless man, pet him. Rule number 2, when you encounter a cat, lure it in and give it money. I know one ESP woman, she has fucked everyone's wives in secret in like 3 towns of Finland. They're crazy. So she turns all the straight women gay or something? Or just long enough to have sex with them? I mean, women already scissor each other just to say hi. Tiny Man 66 and Ken Krishna Sarmapagu were in the same room right now.
in physical space, they'd be scissoring. Because they're scissor sisters, like all women. I'm curious about this ESP woman who's fucked everyone's wives in secret in 3 towns of Finland. That would make such a good concept for a book or something. Is she on a mission or something? I mean, I think I tend to agree with you, Lawnmower, that both parties are being used in a way that's not healthy. I think there are ways to use each other that are healthy too. It's like I like to say to Rachel, and she doesn't like it when I say this, I want to use your body for my sexual pleasurings. But that's just me talking silly talk, right? She's sensitive about that shit because most people, when they say those kind of things, mean it more literally than that. They mean, I just want to use you. I don't just want to use her. I just see sex as inherently meaning that, basically. Like, healthy sex is 2 people who are safely enough embedded in a relationship that they can safely treat each other like objects during sexual intercourses. What I mean is just that in a healthy relationship, but that's the thing, Ken Christian Simon of Goo. Healthy sexual objectification happens in the bedroom between 2 people who are a healthy couple. When it occurs outside of those bounds, it's much more likely to be real. The whole thing here is this. Everybody puts on a little play when they're having sex. And it's a play called, let's pretend that the woman is the prey and I'm a predator. Let's pretend this is war of a sort and I'm going to stab you. Let's pretend that you're just like livestock that I'm using for my pleasure. The thing is, we normally that wouldn't be a satisfying way to pretend, but there's this weird thing in humans called sexuality. And so, in other words, it's almost like a moral release. We get to pretend to be wicked to the person we love the most in a way that is gratifying to both parties. And the problem that INFJ might have is that they don't get that it's operating on 2 frames. It's not just the universalist frame, in which case it would be, in fact, offensive. You don't objectify people like that. If you don't understand that it's manifesting in the particularist frame for your experiential pleasure, then you're not going to get the concept, basically. And then you're going to be a bit of a prude about like kinky stuff, I guess. The thing is, it is one way or the other, King Krishna Sarnath. You're just in denial of sorts. Listen more, talk less, talk better. Those are 3 different rules. Well, listen more, talk less. Listen more is not the same thing as talking less necessarily. Be good, copy cues. Where's number 2? Why'd you go from number 1 to number 4? What happened to number 2 and 3? 7, become yourself. Bathe in man seed. Rule number 8 by Fyagkug Kyak. Bathe weekly in man seed. Gather together dozens of your closest friends and have them ejaculate into a pool. Then bathe in it. If you got kicked, that's a terrible rule. Why would somebody want to follow that rule? That's just nutty. God. I guess you've got an affinity. Well, I mean, what do you think that objectification looks like, King Christian for you? I mean, because the thing is, objectification shouldn't occur outside of naked sexy time. In regular conversations, you shouldn't be objectified. That's true, because that's not sexual intercourses. That's a regular conversation, and that's the difference. It's like, just because we play me caveman, you weak scared woman or something, doesn't mean that I want to maintain that my dynamic after I ejaculate. I don't. And the problem is, idiots think that because there's that dynamic in the bedroom, that dynamic should, persist outside of there. That just doesn't make any sense. You don't get a post-nut clarity? I mostly get post-nut go to sleep. Girls can nut too. I think Sargon is mostly fat. You have another opinion about him? But did anybody ask you about Sargon? Mostly I go to sleep after I ejaculate. Of course, that's only we talked about Sargon like 7 hours ago. That guy's such a douche. SE Tool and Downs are always on nut mode. All right, well, everybody go get your poke on if you want to, as you want to. And remember, but why should we conclude? Why that doesn't follow at all? It doesn't follow logically that because the natural method of sex is that the D rams the V, that the man should be chief 24/7. I mean, do you really want? What does that mean? First of all, I'm a big believer in reaching agreement. I don't want to compel anything upon my partner. I don't want my partner to do stuff she doesn't want to do, or to, Humanity, man. Okay.
Goodbye, friends. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Yeah, in sex, though, lawnmower doesn't mean it has to be generalized to outside of sex.